Robot Wars meets Auto Battler on the tabletop in Rumblebots. Let's take a look inside. Hi and welcome to Tabletop Gaming. My name is Charlie and we are the publishers of a monthly magazine on everything tabletop. Board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures and more. So we know our stuff when it comes to these. If you want to check that out, by the way, it's behind me. There's a link in the description. You can hit subscribe on not just us, but also the magazine if you like the sound of it. But today you're here because you're interested in Rumblebots, and so are we. So we'll do an overview. I want to take a look inside, give you an idea on what sort of things you'll be doing within it, how the play works, without going too in-depth. There's a rulebook. There is a rulebook available online. You can go and check that out. This should give you all of the flavour you need to know if this is a game for you. But first, let's talk about what it is. So Rumblebots has been designed as an auto battler. Now, admittedly, I had to Google what that meant, and it is exactly as you would imagine. It's a style of game basically where you set up in one and then you just let it free. Well, it happens, what happens, happens, and that's all you've got with you. It auto battles. Makes sense. However, I like to think of this a little bit more as also being Robot Wars, which was a very popular TV series in sort of the late 90s, early 2000s in the UK, where people would build robots and then set them fighting each other. This gives me that vibe, but in tabletop and card game form. So it's fair to say for mechanical mayhem, you're in the right place. The game itself is a card game. It's sort of a deck management game that is for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and over, and it takes about an hour to play. Of course not if you are a full champion and you can wipe the floor with everybody else, because it is a all v all game, so everyone is fighting everyone for victory. And story-wise, basically, there are no humans left. There are just sentient bots that have been created to always fight each other. Now there's plants and animals still, just for some added flavour, but it's the fighting robots that we're talking about today, because they're always going to seek out a fight and only one can be victorious. Is it going to be you? Let's take a look inside. Now, this game goes across 6 rounds, and there are 2 phases in each. The instructions, of course, will tell us what it is that we need to know, how we set up, where we're going, but I'll give you an overview on those so you know what's going on. Now, each of those 6 rounds has 2 phases: build and battle. Nice and easy. In the build phase, you're going to be building those robots, you're going to be upgrading your workshop, you're going to be trying to get the best bot you possibly can before the battle phase, where you sort of set them loose to do their worst. Remembering it's set up to be an auto battler, so one side attacks, the other defends, but it all depends on what you've already put out. But let's take a look. Component-wise, I'll revisit these in a moment to explain exactly what they are, but everyone gets this. This is their workshop, and actually, component-wise, it's really thick cardboard and soft touch as well. Whilst I never expect board games to not be as nice, it does feel like noticeably nice. You also have scraps tokens, crystals, the champion marker, we all want that, and then the all-important box cards. Please be impressed by the fact I managed to get the paper covering back on them, and keep fingers crossed I can put them on at the end to keep them neat. In those cards, I should mention, is these, which are your little player aids. Every game should come with a player aid. I'm glad to see these here. They just give you some key terms and reminders of stuff that you need to know throughout the game. You don't need it for long. This is the kind of game that once you've played around, you get everything that you need to know, but it's there just in case. But let's look at some bots cards to give you an idea of what we're working with. This, for example, is one of our bots. Now, as you would expect, at the top here, we have an attack value. That's how much we're going to hit for, and this is how much we'll defend for. Some will have extra abilities included that might trigger as you do certain things. Some might just have some cool flavor text. For example, this one gives you more for the more crystals you have, but this one is just a tea robot. Can't handle the heat, better not stir this pot. You'll also have contraption cards, which are these ones which trigger certain effects when things happen. If you think, and notably there is a card that looks like one, like a bear trap. These are sort of traps that you can leave or things that you can do and just let them absorb for you. Now the different cards also have different themes on them. You can combine things to create this really synergistic creation of bots that are fighting for you. And building up that strategy, building up things like that is incredibly satisfying when you finally get to the point where everything is working perfectly together. So that's the cards, and they all lay out within this, which is the laboratory, that you can see which cards it is that you have available to you, what you can buy, what you can choose to get rid of. But the one that's important to you personally, although this is important to everybody, the one that's important to you personally is your workshop, which are these really nice player boards from the beginning that I mentioned. There's quite a lot to these. So here we have your workshop level. If you have a higher workshop level, which you can work towards getting within the game, you can build better robots. Better robots are obviously more powerful and will hopefully mean you can win. Good luck. The track that is along the bottom here and going across is for scraps. Scraps are your in-game currency. That's how you're going to buy your cards, that's how you're going to buy your upgrades, and you get these at the beginning of each round as a standard. So first round you get 1, second round you get 2, third round you get 3, you see. You can also get them through certain abilities, or you can get them through recycling existing bots. This tells you how much it is to buy, and this tells you how much you'll get back in scrap if you were to recycle it, saving the planet one bot at a time. And you can get them through crystals. More on crystals in a second, but remember to use up your scraps because they do not last between rounds. And it's these little orange guys you use to denote those. Crystals, on the other hand, are these. Now these are vitally important to your game. You win crystals by winning battles, or sometimes through abilities. And they're useful for drawing cards and for using those abilities. You keep these in storage, which is in your workshop here on your active turn. You use them in the reactor, which is the orange, and when they are spent, they go into the cryo cell. There are ways to get them back out of the cryo cell, which I'll come into a moment. These are particularly important because these can help you win. If you have 6 more than the next player does, so if you've got 6 and they've got none, if you've got 7 and they've got 1, you win. Once you've got 6 more than the opponent with the highest, you win. Simple, right? So let's talk about the build phase itself. Essentially, what will happen is you'll get that scrap that I said about, and you can choose what bot you're going to buy and build. You can also, in that time, choose to scrap your bots to get more scrap. So you might be able to get rid of one to be able to buy a more effective bot. You can upgrade your workshop so that you can buy more effective bots. Or you can energize up to 3 crystals. Now you can do sort of any of those. There's a certain amount you can do of each, but it's worth using all of your turn as much as possible. Don't save things for later. Do them now. Once they're set up, you battle. So let's move on to the battle phase. Basically, you are trying to get this. This is the champion token. Now, in the first round, it's whoever. It's like the first player token. Someone's got it. And what happens is for every player that you've got, one of them will attack the other. So we're going to go for the champion. You're going to have a challenger and a champion. Of that bout, whoever then wins takes the champion token. And if there are other players, the other players will then challenge that champion. So it can move around in the course of that battle phase. You basically fight for as long as you can with what's on your deck. And it's last player standing. They become the champion. As a champion, you get 2 crystals. Remember how important those are for your winning. But if you're playing in a 3 and 4 player game, there is an underdog opportunity where if you were the last one standing before the winner, you also get 1. Now for the crystals that you used, they go into the cryocell, which means they just kind of sit there until you become champion. And at champion, you can move those back into your storage, which is vitally important when you're trying to get 6 more than everybody else, and also means you can come from behind and win in certain opportunities. But hey, look, it doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's a bit tighter than you expect. Sometimes you can't quite get that 6 there. If you end up on the very last round, which is our 6th round, and you haven't had a decisive victory, then it becomes a showdown. Just imagine all the lights go down and it's a really dramatic moment, because in the showdown, everything becomes more dramatic. You've got those 6 scraps, but you can also build more bots. You can upgrade your workshop more than once, and you can energize more crystals. Basically, it's your last huzzah to victory. Like, you can do this, get everything out you possibly can, get everything sorted for one epic showdown, and the champion of that round becomes the champion of the game. So that's Rumblebots. It's fair to say there is a lot of game in what is quite a pleasingly small package, because frankly I'm running out of space on my shelves and a small box is always a win. But there's a lot of game to be had in this. Never mind the fact that it takes about an hour to play. There's so much variability that you can do, so many different strategies and tactics that you can take out of it, that it packs a lot into a small package. It's also pretty quick to learn. As I said in the beginning, you'll play sort of 1 round worth to figure out what goes where, and you'll know what you're doing. You won't need much more than that to be able to get going, and the instructions are straightforward enough. But of course there's a video on their site, you can check it out and see what they have to say about it, where things go. So that is Rumblebots. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love your thoughts on what you think of this, and don't forget to check us out online too. I will put all the links you need in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching and have a great day.